and quality of life. So IT plays a central role in how we live and work, transforming industries, education, healthcare, and even our personal routines. I am Desiree Rusha, and this is my partner.
I am Christina Galbuena.
And together we will guide you through an overview of this fascinating subject. So let's start by understanding what IT is.
Okay, so first, what is IT? So, IT or information technology is the use of systems like computers, networks, and software to store, process, and communicate information. These systems are all around us, from the smartphones in our pockets to the complex networks that power global businesses. It has become an essential tool in driving innovation, improving communication, and increasing efficiency in virtually every sector. As we progress, you'll see just how deeply it's integrated into our daily lives.
So now, why is IT so important? So let's look at two key aspects. First, the productivity. So IT helps organizations streamline processes, automate repetitive tasks, and work more efficiently. So for example, businesses use like data analytics and cloud computing to make faster and smarter decisions. Now, second is the quality of life. So, IT improves access to services we rely on, like healthcare, education, and even online shopping. So, imagine how telemedicine has helped people consult doctors without traveling, so especially during the pandemic. IT ensures convenience, accessibility, and better connections with the world around us.
In this report, we can see the key themes of the report. We have number one, productivity, how it improves efficiency in work and daily tasks. And we have the second one, which is the quality of life, how IT tools enhance our well being and accessibility. And the third one is the challenges, issues like the digital divide and privacy concerns. So in this report, we'll explore three main themes. So what just what I just said. So first, how it IT drives productivity and how IT enhance quality of life. And lastly, we'll touch on the challenges that come with this advancement, such as unequal access to technology known as the digital divide and privacy concerns. These teams will give you a well-rounded views of IT's impact. Next slide, please.
So to set the stage for this discussion, think about how IT is everywhere. So, from managing a company's workflow to helping students attend online classes, it is an indispensable part of our world. So beyond work and education, IT shapes entertainment, such as streaming platforms and public services like online task filing. So its influence is global yet personal. So connecting us in ways that were unimaginable a few decades ago. So with this foundation, we can better understand its role in shaping our productivity and quality of life.
Okay, so now we've provided an overview of IT's significance and its pervasive role in today's world. Now we'll hand it over to the next presenters who will give you more information into how IT specifically impacts productivity and quality of life. Thank you, and we hope that you will enjoy the rest of our presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Galbuana. Now we're going to discuss the impact of IT on the standard of living and worker productivity. So, next slide, please. So, the impact of IT on the standard of living and worker productivity is significant because technology has fundamentally changed how people work and live. So, can somebody read what is the standard of living? Yes, Vilya Hermosa.
Standard of living. Countries with advanced IT industries typically enjoy a higher standard of living. IT professionals earn good wages due to the high demand for digital skills, and countries like the US benefit from higher GDP per capita and better living standards.
Okay, thank you so much. So, in countries with advanced IT industries, the standard of living is often higher. For example, IT professionals typically enjoy good wages because their work is highly valued in a digital age. So, countries like the US, which invest heavily in technology, tend to have better standards of living than countries with less developed tech sectors. Next slide, please. On the other hand, worker productivity is about how much work a person can do in a given time. So IT has made workers much more productive. For example, an IT worker can now use a software to manage large databases, communicate with clients across the world instantly, or automate repetitive tasks. So this means they can get more done in less time. As a result, businesses produce more, which boosts the overall economy. Therefore, it IT enhances both the standard of living and worker productivity by making economies more efficient and people's lives more comfortable. Now, Ms. Bardon will discuss how IT investment and productivity works. Ms. Bardon?
Hello, so I'm so sorry for that. Now let's move on to the okay, next slide please. I'm so sorry for that. So now let's move on for the IT investment and productivity. So relationship between IT investment and productivity growth is complex. So it's not easy to see exactly if how investing in IT boosts productivity. Just like, for example, a company might buy a new software for managing projects, but if workers don't know how to use it efficiently, it might not immediately improve how much work they get done. So, the rate of productivity from 1995 to 2005 is only slightly higher than the long-term US rate. So even though many businesses in the US invested in new technologies during this time, like the internet and computers, the overall improvement in productivity wasn't that much greater than what was normally expected. So, for example, using email sped up communication, but it didn't always result in workers completing tasks faster. So here are the possible lag time between. So
First, it is the application of innovative IT solutions. So imagine a company that installs an advanced customer service system. So at first, workers might struggle to learn the new system, and it could take months before they become faster and more effective at their jobs. So second, capture productivity gains. So imagine a company that installs an advanced customer service system. So at first, workers might struggle to learn the system, and it could take months before they could become faster and more effective at their jobs. And then other factors besides IT influence worker productivity. So IT alone doesn't determine productivity. So for example, if the economy is in a recession, so the demand for products might drop, which allows a slowdown production even if a company has the best technology. So if there are strict labor also, laws that limit work hours, so workers can't increase output regardless of the IT they use. And difficult to quantify how much the use of IT has contributed to worker productivity. So it's hard to measure exactly how much IT helps. So for instance, a retail company might use an inventory tracking system to save time, but they might also have hired more staff, improved training, or changed their product line. So all of which can improve productivity, making it difficult to know how much credit goes to the IT system. So next slide, please. All right, for a while. Okay, let's move on to the factors that affect the national productivity rates. So first, business cycles of expansion and contraction. So when the economy is doing well, so that is expansion, businesses produce more and workers are more productive. But during a downturn or the contraction, businesses slow down, leading to lower productivity. So for example, during a recession, companies might sell fewer products even if they have better technology. Second is outsourcing to contractors can skew productivity. So when companies hire outside workers, which are the contractors, to do certain tasks, it might seem like their own workers are more productive because they aren't doing the extra work themselves. So, for example, a company might hire contractors to handle customer service, so making it look like their own employees are doing. And then next, regulations make it easier to hire and fire workers. So laws that allow companies to easily hire and fire workers can help businesses adjust quickly to changes, which can make them more productive. So for instance, during busy seasons, companies might hire extra workers to get more done. So then let them go when things slow down. And then for the one, more competitive, more competitive markets for goods and services. So when companies compete with each other, they try to work more efficiently to sell more products or offer better services. So for example, if two phone companies are trying to get more customers, they might invest in better technology to improve their productivity. And then for the next one, difficult to measure output of some services. So some jobs like teaching or healthcare are hard to measure because it's not just about how many tasks are done, but the quality of those tasks. So, for example, a teacher's productivity isn't just about how many students they teach, but of course, how well the students learn. And then lastly, IT investments don't always yield tangible results. So spending money on new technology doesn't always mean things will improve right away. So for example, a company might buy new computers, but if the workers don't know how to use them well, then it won't make them more productive. Next slide, please. All right, so let's move on to the fundamental drivers for the productivity performance. So, first, we have the reduced amount of input required to produce a given output by. So, this means using few resources like the time, money, or materials to create the same amount of products or services. So, first one, consolidating operations to better leverage economic scale. So, this means combining different parts of a business to reduce costs and work more efficiently. So, for example, a company might merge its warehouses so that it can buy and store supplies in bulk, which costs lesser per item. So, next is improving performance by becoming more efficient. So, this means finding ways to get more done with fewer resources. So, for example, a factory might upgrade its machines so they can produce more products in less time using the same amount of energy and workers. So, on the other side, increase the value of output produced by a given amount of input. So, it means making what you already have more valuable without using extra resources. So, first is selling higher value goods. So, this means offering products that are worth more so the company makes more profit without using extra resources. So, just like, for example, a car company might start selling luxury cars instead of regular ones using the same factories and workers, but making more money because the cars are more expensive. And then the next one, selling more goods to increase the capacity and use of existing resources. So this means making more products with the same amount of resources like the workers and the machines. So, for example, a company that makes shoes might work on selling more shoes using the same factory and materials but increasing their total sales and income. Next slide, please. All right, so let's move on to the telework or the telecommuting. So, telework is when employees work from a location outside of the office, such as their home, using their technology to stay connected with their coworkers and complete tasks. So, first, employee works away from the office. So this means the employee does their job from home or another location instead of going to the office every day. So, for example, a graphic designer can work from home using his computer to complete projects. And then second, advances in technology enable communication. So new technology like video calls and instant messaging makes it easy for people to work from anywhere and still stay connected. So just like for example, Zoom meetings which allow teams to discuss work even if they're not in the same place. And then highly skilled workers demand more flexibility. So workers with these special skills often want flexible schedules, meaning they prefer to choose when and where they work. So for instance, a software developer might prefer to work from home because it gives them more control over their time. And then laws passed to encourage telework. So governments have created rules that support working from home to make it easier for companies and workers to adopt telework. So, for example, some countries have laws requiring businesses to offer telework options when possible. And then organizations must prepare guidelines and policies. So companies need to create rules for how telework will work. So like what hours employees must be available or how they will communicate with their teams. So just like for example, a company may set up guidelines of regular check-ins during work from home days. So the next one, some positions are not suited to telework. So not all jobs can be done from home. So for example, a factory worker needs to be on site to operate machines. So meaning their job isn't suitable for telework. And then lastly, some individuals are not suited to be teleworkers. So not everyone works well from home. So some people may get distracted or have trouble staying productive without the direct supervision. And the next slide, please. All right, so let's move on to the advantages and disadvantages of teleworking for employees. So let's have first the advantages. The advantages. So who wants to read the first advantage? Anyone who wants to read the first advantage? Yes, Faith.
People with disabilities who otherwise find public transportation and office accommodations a barrier to work may now be able to join the workforce.
All right, so telework allows individuals with disabilities to work from home, eliminating challenges like inaccessible transportation or office spaces. So, for example, some who uses a wheelchair can create a comfortable workspace at home without worrying about the office accessibility. So, second advantage, teleworkers avoid long, stressful commutes and gain time for additional work or personal activities. So this means by not having to travel to the office, employees save time and reduce stress. So for instance, a worker who used to spend 2 hours commuting each day can now use that time to exercise or spend time with the family. And then for the third one, who wants to read the third advantage? Yes, May?
The third advantage minimize the need for employees to take time to stay home to care for sick family members.
Okay, thank you for that. So when the employees can work from home, they can still manage their job responsibilities while caring for their loved ones. So, for example, a parent can work remotely while looking after a sick child, which reduces the need to take a day off. So, for the next advantage, you want to read? Yes, Igay?
Teleworkers have an opportunity to experience and improve work or family balance.
Okay, thank you. So working from home can help employees better manage their work and family responsibilities. So, for instance, a teleworker might have more time to attend their child's school events or prepare family meals. So, for the last advantage, who wants to read? Yes, Montemayor.
Telework reduces ad work requests and disruptions from fellow workers.
All right, thank you for that. So this means that when employees work remotely, they may face fewer interruptions from colleagues, so which allows them to focus better on their tasks. So, for example, someone working from home might find it easier to concentrate without the distractions of coworkers stopping by to chat. And then let's have the disadvantages. So, for the first one, some employees are unable to be productive workers away from the office. So, meaning not everyone works well from home. So, some people might get distracted or struggle to stay focused without the office environment. So, for the next one, teleworkers may suffer from isolation and may not really feel part of the team. So, working from home can be lonely, and remote workers may miss the social interactions they have with coworkers in the office. And then for the next one, workers who are out of sight also tend to be out of mind. So the contributions of teleworkers may not be fully recognized and credited. So when employees work remotely, their efforts efforts might go unnoticed, so leading to feelings of being undervalued. Then for the next one, teleworkers must guard from working too many hours per day because work is always there. So it can be easy to blur the lines between work and personal time when working from home, leading to burnout. So just like for example, a teleworker might find themselves answering emails late at night or working weekends because they feel the work is never done. And then lastly, the cost of the necessary equipment and communication services can be considerable if the organization does not cover these. So employees may need to buy their own computers, software, or internet services to work from home, which can be expensive. So for example, if a company doesn't provide a laptop, an employee might have to spend their own money on one to do their job effectively. So next slide, please. All right, so now let's move on to the advantages and disadvantages of teleworking for organizations. So let's have the advantages first. Who wants to read the first one? Yes, Kyle.
As more employees telework, there is less need for office and parking space. This can lead to lower costs.
All right, thank you, Kyle. So when employees work from home, companies can reduce expenses related to office space and parking. So, for example, a business might save money on rent if fewer employees need a desk in the office. And then for the second one, who wants to read? Yes, Faith.
Allowing employees to telework can improve morale and reduce turnover.
Okay, thank you so much. So, telework can make employees happier because it offers flexibility. So, these happiness can lead to employees staying longer with the company. So, for instance, if a worker who enjoys working from home might be less likely to leave for another job. And then for the third one, who wants to read? Yes, Desiree.
Telework allows for the continuity of business operations into the event of a local or national disaster and supports national pandemic preparedness planning.
Okay, thank you. So, if there's a disaster like a natural disaster or a pandemic, businesses with telework options can keep running. So, for example, no, during a pandemic, companies that allowed remote work could maintain operations while keeping employees safe at home. So, next, the next one is the opportunity to telework can be seen as an additional perk that can help on recruiting. So, offering telework can attract new employees because it shows the company values flexibility. And then for the next one, there may be an actual gain in worker productivity. So some companies find that employees are more productive when working from home as they can focus better without office distractions. And then for the next one, telework can decrease an organization's carbon footprint by reducing daily commuting. So when employees work from home, fewer people commute, which can lower the carbon emissions. And then now let's have the disadvantages. Who wants to read the first disadvantage? Yes, Audrey?
Allowing teleworkers to access organizational data and systems from remote sites creates potential security issues.
Okay, thank you, Audrey. So, when employees work from home, they might access sensitive company information on less secure networks, which can lead to data breaches. So, for example, if an employee uses a public Wi-Fi to connect to the company network, so hackers could intercept sensitive information. So, for the next one, who wants to read? All right, so for the next one, informal, spontaneous meetings become more difficult, if not impossible. So, without a shared office space, it's harder for employees to have quick, casual conversations or brainstorming sessions. So, for instance, a team member might have a great idea but find it challenging to share it spontaneously without being in the same place. So next, managers may have a harder time monitoring the quality and quantity of the work performed by teleworkers, wondering, for instance, if they really put in a full day. So managers might struggle to know if employees are working effectively when they can't see them in the office. So for example, a manager may question whether a teleworker is genuinely working or just clocking in without doing much. And then the next disadvantage is increased planning is required by managers to accommodate and include teleworkers. So managers need to put more thought into how to involve remote workers in meetings and projects. So the next one, there are traditional costs associated with providing equipment, services, and support for people who work away from the office. So meaning organizations may need to buy laptops, software, or other tools for employees to work remotely. So for instance, if a company doesn't already provide laptops, then it will need to invest in them to ensure employees can do their jobs effectively. And then lastly, telework increases the potential for lost or stolen equipment. So meaning when employees take company equipment home, there's a risk of it getting lost or stolen. So, for example, a laptop left in a car could be stolen, putting company data at risk and potentially costing the organization to replace it. So, that would be all for my part. I'm now giving the virtual floor to the next reporter. Thank you.
Next slide, please. Next slide. Now, let's move on to the digital divide. So, the digital divide is the gap between those with access to technology like the internet and computers, and those without, impacting education, jobs, and healthcare. For example, rural students without internet struggle to access online learning, while urban students thrive. Similarly, people without digital skills miss job opportunities advertised online. So bridging the gap requires affordable internet, low-cost devices, and community training programs to ensure equal opportunities. Next slide, please. Let's start by talking about the standard of living. So when we say standard of living, we're talking about the quality of life people experience based on factors like how much food they have, whether they have clean drinking water, how long people in their area tend to live, and whether they have access to education and doctors. So a modern indicator of standard of living is also whether people have access to information and communication technology or ICT, such as the internet and computers. For example, today, being able to connect to the internet can improve a person's access to education, job markets, and vital information for their well being. Next slide, please. So the digital divide across countries or different countries and even different groups within a country experience the digital divide differently. In India, for example, only about 3% of people in rural areas have access to the internet, compared to 20% in cities. In the US, some groups like older adults or people in lower income households are less likely to have internet access. So this divide limits their opportunities for education, jobs, and other services that are increasingly provided online. Next slide, please. So why it's important to bridge the digital divide, bridging the digital divide, yes. Why is it important? Because technology can make life easier and safer. So imagine someone in a rural area who can't call for help because they don't have a cell phone or internet access. On the other hand, having access to ICT can help students learn better, give job seekers more opportunities, and provide critical information about health, careers, and safety. Next slide, please. Let's look at a few ways countries are trying to reduce the digital divide. So let's have first the E-rate program US. So here it helps schools and libraries get affordable internet access. It also provides discounts based on location and student need. And the E-rate program helps schools and libraries in the United States get affordable internet access. So it provides discounts to schools in need, depending on how many students in that area qualify for free or reduced price lunches. So this program has helped more schools get online, but there are still challenges like making sure that technology is used effectively to improve education. The second one is one laptop per child. So it provides low cost laptops to children in poor countries. For example, in Nepal, so it helps rural students and teachers integrate technology into lessons. So this program aims to provide low cost laptops to children, especially in poorer countries. So these laptops are designed to work in areas where there might not be electricity, and they come with educational tools that can help students learn. For example, in Nepal, the one laptop per child program help students in rural schools by providing laptops with special software that their teachers could use in lessons. So this helped bring more educational resources to areas that had very limited access. The third one is Classmate. So it is a low-cost laptops designed for students in developing countries. So it is distributed in countries like Brazil, India, and China to help connect students to the digital world. So the Classmate is another low-cost laptop designed for students in developing countries. So it's built to be affordable and durable, and it comes with educational software that helps students learn. So this laptop has been distributed to countries in across area. So the last one is the low cost smartphones. So more affordable than computers and offer internet access. And these smartphones are another way to bridge the digital divide because they are easier to use and more affordable than computers in many areas. So as smartphones become cheaper, more people can use them to access the internet for education, work, and personal use. So this means even people in poor or rural areas can access important resources online. Next slide, please. So in summary, bridging the digital divide is essential for improving people's lives, especially in areas where access to technology is limited. Programs like E-Rate, one laptop per child, and Classmate are important steps in making sure that everyone, no matter their economic status or where they live, can benefit from the opportunities that modern technology offers. Reducing this divide can help raise the standard of living, create educational and job opportunities, and even reduce global inequalities. And I believe that would be all for my part. I will give the virtual floor to the next reporter.
Thank you. Next slide, please. Good morning. I'm Charlene May Naldaza. Now, let's dive the impact of information technology and the different aspect of human life in education, mobility, business, and in the other aspect of human life. The future of our society and the very foundation of education, the role of technology. In our rapidly changing world, technology has become a powerful catalyst for change. The use of technology in school has revolutionized the way students learn and teachers teach. So it has made education more accessible. Today, we'll look how technology is revolutionizing education, both the benefits it provides to our students and the problems we must overcome to guarantee that every learner is prepared to thrive in an increasingly digital world. Next slide, please. So, we are living in an era where technology is not just a tool, It is an innovative force that is transforming how we teach, learn, and communicate with one another. And learning process for students becomes simpler as technology advances. Now, let's learn the positive impacts of information technology and education. So, these are the positive impacts of information technology and education. First, enhance teaching and learning. And also, it's all about globalization. And then distance learning made modern. And also, educational games and simulation. Next slide, please. Okay, first, enhance teaching and learning. So, technological developments like digital cameras, projectors, mind training software, computers, PowerPoint presentations, and 3D visualization tools have all become great sources for teachers to help students grasp a concept easily. So, the integration of information technology in education significantly enhances teaching and learning by providing diverse tools that facilitate understanding and engagement. So, technologies such as digital cameras, projectors, mind training software, and 3D visualization tools enable teachers to present concepts visually, making complex ideas more accessible and enjoyable for students. Okay, next slide, please. Next, it's all about the globalization. So, when school in different parts of the states, country, or the world connect, students can meet their counterparts through video conferencing without leaving the classroom. So it helps students to learn foreign languages online by pairing a group of students with a teacher from another country. So information technology fosters globalization in education by enabling connection between schools and students across different regions and cultures, facilitating a truly global learning environment. So through tools like video conferencing, students can engage in real-time interaction with peers from various parts of the states, country, or even the world, broadening with their perspective and enhancing cultural understanding. Next slide, please. Next is distance learning made modern. So, distance learning is a modality wherein teaching and learning processes are happening remotely. So, distance learning is any kind of remote learning in which the students is not physically present in a classroom, and the students may be anywhere while learning takes place. So, distance learning is educating students online. So, information technology has revolutionized distance learning, making it more accessible, flexible, and effective for students around the globe. So, with the advent of online platforms, learning management systems, and virtual classrooms, students can now engage in coursework from anywhere at any time, breaking down geographical barriers to education. So, the modernization of distance learning through information technology not only enhances educational opportunities but also empowers learners to take control of their educations in a way that suits their individual needs. And lastly, the positive impacts of education. Next slide, please. It's all about educational games and simulation. So, in younger grades, teachers expose children to computer through educational games. So instead of playing board games, the focus on education, students can learn the basics of spelling, counting, and other early educational lessons through computer games that make learning fun. So information technology has significantly enhanced early education through the use of educational games and simulations, which engage young learners in interactive and enjoyable ways. Examples, these educational tools not only captures children's interest, but also promote active participation, encouraging them to explore concept independently and reinforcing their understanding through play. So as a result of educational games, create a positive learning atmosphere that lays the groundwork for lifelong learning. Next slide, please. Okay, so if there are positive impacts, of course, there's also negative impacts of information technology and education. So first, declining writing skills and also increased incident of cheating. Next, lack of focus and also equity issues. Next slide, please. Okay, first, declining writing skills. So due to excessive usage of online chatting and shortcuts, the writing skills of today's young generation have declined quite tremendously these days. Children are relying more on digital communication that they have totally forgot about improving their writing skills. So, for example, uh, plagiarism. So due to easy access to a lot of reading works and resources on the internet, it has made most students lazy and has brought about declining in writing skills. So students feel all the way they need to do is to just copy paste and already published work rather than using their own words. And also, they're more confident in technology than themselves. So the use of writing aids and online writing service has made students not believe in themselves anymore, right? So they put much trust in what they get online or with the use of different writing tools as being perfect without flaws. And also students become helpless without technology. So the laziness caused by technology is rampaging. Students have forgotten how to carry out basic tasks like proofreading their texts, check their spelling and grammars. It now appears that without these tools and online writing service, students cannot present good form of writing. So this shift is not only impacts their current educational performance but also hinders their future professional communication skills where effective writing is essential. All right, next slide please. Okay, next is increase incidents of cheating. So easy access to information with a vast amount of information available online, students can quickly find answer or resources that allows them to complete assignments or exams this honestly. So this accessibility makes it a tempting for them to copy or plagiarize rather than engage in learning process. So the accessibility of vast amounts of information online has led to increase in incidents of cheating among students. So as they are tempted to take shortcuts instead of engaging fully in the learning process, with just few clicks, students can find answer to homework questions, access essay writing services, or copy paste contents from a website without understanding the materials. For example, platforms like Wikipedia or online forums can provide quick answers that students might use to complete assignments without proper attribution, leading to plagiarism. And next slide, please. Okay, so lack of focus. So students are seen to are seen playing with their cell phones and very often even between lectures being ever connected to the online world has resulted in lack of focus and concentration in academics and to some extent even in extracurricular activities. So in pervasive use of information technology, particularly smartphones, has contributed to a significant lack of focus among students. So diversely affecting their academic performance. So with constant access to social medias, games, and other online distractions, students often find themselves diverting their attention during lecture or study session, so making it challenging to observe the retained information. So for instance, students might be tempted to scroll through their social medias, feed or play mobile games during class, leading to miss, lessons and diminished participation in discussion. And lastly, equity issues. Next slide, please. All right, so not all students have equal access to technology and the internet, leading to digital divide. So this uh, inequity can exacerbate existing educational disparities, leaving some students at a disadvantage. So the integration of information technology in education has highlighted significantly equity issues, as not all students have equal access to the necessary technology and internet connectivity, resulting in digital divides. For example, while some students may seamlessly engage in online learning, participate in virtual classrooms, and access a wealth of digital resources, others may struggle to complete assignments due to lack of reliable internet or access to device like laptops or tablets. So now, together, let us embrace the potential of technology to enhance education while remaining mindful of challenges it presents. Together, we can build an inclusive, engaging, and empowering educational experience for all of our students, preparing them not just for academic achievements, but also for future full of possibilities. It is critical to acknowledge both the tremendous advances and the challenges ahead. I think that's all for my part, and now I will give the virtual floor to Mackenzie. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Next slide, please. Okay, now we are in the mobility. So mobility consists of three features. It is smart transportation systems, ride sharing and mobility services, and autonomous vehicles. So next slide, please. Okay, let us begin with smart transportation systems. So technology-driven systems using real-time data to optimize traffic flow and improve public transport systems. So these smart transportation systems use real-time data to enhance mobility. So they reduce congestion and optimize traffic flow, making public transport more efficient. So for example, apps like Google Maps suggest faster routes and provide real-time updates, helping commuters to avoid traffic. So next slide. Okay, the next one is ride sharing and mobility services. So digital platforms connecting passengers and drivers, providing flexible and on-demand transportation services. I think all of us are familiar with this, such as Uber, Grab, Move It, or Maxim. They offer convenient and flexible transportation by connecting passengers with drivers. So instead of waiting for a taxi, users can book a ride through an app and get real-time updates on their trip, improving mobility, especially in urban areas. So next slide, please. Here is the autonomous vehicle. So self-driving cars powered by AI designed to reduce human error and improve travel safety. So it uses AI to drive without human input, which improves road safety and reduces traffic incidents caused by human error. Companies like Tesla are leading the way in this technology, and self-driving cars could significantly change how we move in the future. So next slide, please. So since we are done with the mobility as it impacts with IT in humans in everyday life, next we have business. So business has three features. It has automation and efficiency, global communication and collaboration, and data analytics and decision making. So next slide, please. Okay, so automation and efficiency. So the use of technology to streamline business processes, reduce manual labor, and improve productivity through integrated systems. So IT has automated many businesses' process, reducing the need for manual or human labor and making operations more efficient. For example, enterprise resource planning or ERP systems integrate everything from finance to supply chain management into a single platform, improving workflow and reducing human errors. So in manufacturing, companies use automated production lines that increase output while minimizing cost. Automation is also evident in customer service through AI-powered chatbots that handle customer inquiries 24/7, allowing businesses to respond faster at a lower cost. Next slide, please. Here we have global communication and collaboration. So technological tools that enable real-time communication and collaboration across different locations and time zones. So thanks to IT, businesses can now communicate and collaborate globally in real time. Tools like Zoom and Microsoft Teams allow teams in different locations to work together seamlessly. For instance, a multinational company with teams in New York, London or Tokyo can hold virtual meetings, share documents, and collaborate on projects on real time. So, cloud based platforms such as Google Workspace enable remote teams to access shared files and work on them simultaneously, breaking down barriers related to geography and time zones. So, next slide, please. So the last one is data analytics and decision making. So the process of collecting and analyzing large data sets to support businesses, decisions, and improve performance. So IT plays a crucial role in helping businesses make data-driven decisions. Tools like business intelligence software collect and analyze vast amounts of data from customer behavior to market trends. For instance, e-commerce platforms can track user preferences and recommend products based on past purchases, improving sales and customer satisfaction. So companies like Amazon or Shopee use productive analytics to anticipate demand, optimize inventory, and reduce waste, leading to more efficient operations and better financial performance. So next slide, please. So now we are done with the business side of IT impacting on human lives. Now we are with the other aspects such as healthcare, social interaction and communication, and banking and finance. So next slide, please. So in healthcare, the use of IT managing medical records, providing telemedicine, and improving diagnostics and treatment through technology. So it has, or IT has a profound impact on healthcare, improving efficiency in medical services and the quality of patient care. So there are things such as electronic medical records, which allow doctors and hospitals to store, share, and access patient information securely, speeding up diagnosis and reducing the risk of error. So telemedicine is the another key area, enabling remote consultations between doctors and patients through video calls. So for instance, platforms like Teladoc allow patients to consult with specialists without having to visit a clinic, providing greater access to healthcare, especially in rural areas. So next slide, please. In another aspect, social interaction and communication. So digital platforms and tools that enable global communication and social networking, reshaping how people connect and share information. So IT has transformed the way we interact with one another. So social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter allow people to stay connected, share their lives, and communicate instantly across the globe. So other examples such as messaging apps such as WhatsApp and Telegram enable real-time conversations, while video conferencing tools, again like Zoom or Google Meet, have become essential for keeping in touch with loved ones or conducting business meetings during the pandemic. So this shift into digital communication has made the world more connected, but it has also raised concerns about privacy and the impact of social media on mental health. So next slide, please. So the last aspect is related with banking and finance. So the application of IT to provide online banking, mobile payments, and secure digital financial transactions. So banking and finance have revolutionized or have been revolutionized by IT through online banking and mobile payment systems. Today, people can conduct financial transactions from anywhere using apps like PayPal, Venmo, or other mobile banking services. So these innovations provide convenience and flexibility, reducing the need of physical visits to banks. Or for example, mobile payment apps like Apple Pay and Google Pay, or something that is familiar to us like GCash, allow users to make contactless payments in stores, while online banking platforms enable customers to transfer money, check balances, or pay bills without visiting a branch. So these advancements have increased financial inclusion and improved the speed and security of transactions. So next slide, please. Okay, so that's all. So in conclusion, the impact of information technology and various aspects of human life is undeniable, from revolutionizing business operations and enhancing mobility to transforming healthcare, education, and social interaction. IT has become an integral part of our daily lives. It has improved efficiency, connected people across the globe, and created opportunities for innovation to grow. However, alongside its benefits, IT also poses challenges such as cybersecurity risk and digital divide issues. Moving forward, it is essential to leverage IT responsibly and inclusively to ensure its positive impact reaches everyone. So I think that's all. And thank you everyone for listening to our discussion.